Was able to win Georgia in 2020. That race was extremely close. He didn't win by a lot. So where does that put us? It puts us at 270 to win. It's time to do the damn thing. Let's dive on in. We're going to make predictions here. So here we go. I know Susanna said, Jesus, this is crazy making. It's crazy. I told you. I knew she would blow that lead. I just knew it. They should have continued talking about the economy. They went straight down the I'm a woman and I'm black and you're black and we all are together because we're all blackity black, or we're all women. That was a terrible idea. All right. Time to play. And I don't know why it did this again. Like, did someone play with this? I have to change these again. I don't know why it keeps doing this when I had it as one way, but sometimes these things change. So we're going to bring the swing states back in and we are going to make some predictions. We're making these predictions based on the information that I just showed you. Because the reality is, folks, that's what I got to go on. That's what I have to go off of. Okay. Let's go ahead and start. We're just doing the swing states, obviously. We're going to start with the Sun Belt here, ladies and gentlemen. I think that'll be the easiest one to make a prediction of. I told you guys back during that time, right now, Democrats 226, Republicans 219. So one thing to keep in mind is that the Democratic Party has an advantage. They are already ahead with 226, right? But I just kept it real with you. When Biden was in this race, I told you I believe that Arizona was going to be red. And the reason why I said that is because of the border issue. That doesn't change for me with Kamala Harris. I am going to make Arizona a light red. I believe that Arizona will be a Republican, a red state again, simply because of the immigration issue with the border. That is something we've heard a lot from people in Arizona. So I will make that one for Donald Trump. Then we're going to pivot over here to Nevada. Nevada is interesting. Kamala Harris and Trump have kind of been going back and forth with Nevada. I feel like it could go either way. Kamala Harris just had a rally there in Las Vegas. This one's going to be a tough call, but if I had to make a guess, going back to what we just saw, let's go back up here to Nevada. Sorry, guys. I just want to check one more time. Make sure I got my numbers straight. Yeah, I need to see this chart. Yeah. I think going back to what I saw, I think Nevada may actually become red again, a light red. Although this one, Nevada is going to be, that's a tough one for me. But I say that just because of the way that the polls have been trending. So because the polls have been trending favorable for Donald Trump in Nevada, I think that has a possibility of going to Donald Trump if I were to make a prediction today. That one's going to be a tough one, though, guys. So if I get that one wrong, please don't shoot me. Now we're going to move our butts over to Georgia. I said this from day one, and I still stand by it. I said it when Biden was in the race, and I'm saying it with Kamala in the race. Every poll that I've looked at, including some of these ones with the Muslim voter polls as well. Remember, there is a significant Muslim population in Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. I'm actually going to give Georgia to Donald Trump. I believe that Georgia is going to be red again. I did not believe that Georgia would be a blue state again. And also, when I look at the numbers between Biden and Trump for 2020, Georgia was incredibly close between both of them. So it's not like Biden won by a significant amount. When I look at how close it is between Trump and Kamala Harris, Trump is still holding that lead in Georgia. I'm going to go ahead and give Georgia to Donald Trump. We're pulling our booties up to North Carolina. North Carolina, again, based on the information that I showed you about them pulling $1.7 million of media out of North Carolina in those blue cities like Charlotte and Greensboro, that tells me that something internally is telling them that Kamala Harris is not going to be able to pull it out in North Carolina. So that one is going to be a light red as well. Then we're going to pull our little booties up here to Wisconsin. I'm sorry, I'm doing Pennsylvania last. That is probably the toughest one for me. I'm just going to keep it real. Wisconsin is interesting. Out of the blue wall states, between Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, you have to remember that Wisconsin is the most conservative. So with that in mind, and looking at the way that the numbers are trending, at one point I thought Kamala could probably squeak it out in Wisconsin. But if the numbers are continuing to trend the way that they are today, I would actually have to give Wisconsin to Donald Trump. I know some of you looking at this probably think this is insane. I think it's insane too. I really do. I really do. But I'm going by the data. And then we're going to move over to Michigan. This is tricky. Michigan tends to be the more liberal state between Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. This is the one that's more liberal. However, while I'm tempted to give that one to Kamala Harris, the recent endorsement of Donald Trump from the Muslim mayor of Dearborn Heights, that gives me pause. The fact that Donald Trump has now caught up to Kamala Harris in Michigan, that gives me pause. The fact that Jill Stein has the most support between Muslim voters in Michigan above Kamala Harris, and that particular demographic did help pull Joe Biden over, in 2020 with Michigan, that definitely gives me pause. So because of that, I'm going to have to say, then there's the auto workers. Some of the auto workers not feeling too keen about electric vehicles coming in because that could affect their jobs. There's that as well. There's the economy issue. We're talking about people that are in communities where people have these jobs like manufacturing. They wanted to come back. So there's a couple of things happening here with Michigan. And because of that, people are probably going to slap me over the head for this one. But I'm going to actually make Michigan light red for Donald Trump. I think he might be able to squeak it out in Michigan, even though it's more liberal. And that's because of the issues that I just told you. And now we go to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is probably the hardest one on this map because the reality is, when you look at Philly, you look at Pittsburgh, like these are cities that are more likely to go blue. Biden won Pennsylvania, Trump won Pennsylvania. But before 2016, Pennsylvania was blue. I was surprised when it turned red in 2016. That being said, the fact that once again, Donald Trump has seemed to catch up to Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania, that in itself is very telling. So there's that. The other problem that you run into with Pennsylvania, which I covered a couple of days ago, Kamala Harris is not doing well in Philadelphia the way that Joe Biden did. Joe Biden had an advantage because he's from Pennsylvania. People were willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's one of them. Kamala Harris is not seeing that same type of, support that Joe Biden saw in Pennsylvania. Now, what has thrown a wrench into this is the comments that were made at the Trump MAGA rally. The fact that Pennsylvania does have 450,000 Puerto Ricans, Americans, who some may be offended. Is that going to be enough to make most of them want to come out and vote for Kamala Harris? I don't know that it will. Plus, I think voter registration in Pennsylvania ended already anyway. So that being said, and considering that even though Joe Biden won Pennsylvania in 2020, he also won it by a narrow margin against Donald Trump, and Kamala's not from there, with everything that I told you, I'm giving Pennsylvania to Donald Trump. Listen, this is very hard for me to do. This was very hard. Like I went over this in my head multiple times. And part of me still wants to go back and change Michigan to Kamala. Like part of me wants to do that. But I just don't, I don't know, man. I don't know how she pulls this out without the Muslim voters. If I am correct, this would mean that Donald Trump would sweep the swing states. And I can't even believe it. Like, I'm trying to figure this out myself. I'm like, I throw my hands up in the air sometimes saying, Ayo, let's go. I'm confused. I don't understand it, but I'm just going by the data. I'm going by the data, and I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Kamala supporter. I'm voting for Jill Stein. But based on the data and based on some of the activity that's been happening behind the scenes with the campaign, pulling out ads, removing money from certain markets, that's a sign. We could be possibly looking at a Trump swing state sweep. That would bring you Donald Trump to 312, and that would bring Kamala Harris to 226. Anybody want me to change it? I can change it. I can go back and make Michigan. I can make Michigan lean blue, right? That still gives the edge to Donald Trump. Like she still can't win. And let's go back and add Pennsylvania. I mean, I don't know. We playing around having fun, right? Even if she gets Michigan and Pennsylvania, that's 260 to 278. She still can't win. This is why I just, yeah, man, I don't know. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this video. Watch. People are gonna be mad at me. They were like, yeah, that's Sabby. I knew you were gonna, I'm just going by the data. Like me or not. Let's get to some of the comments. Aye. Thank you, Hussein. Honest question. Do you think the sentiment for Arabs and Muslims will ever get better? When we are in the media or Hollywood, it's always negative, very sad. I feel that same way about my people too, Hussein. I feel that same way. I don't know. I really don't know. I will say I think more people have woken up to what's happening. I'll tell you that much. More people have woken up. Thank you, Better You. If Trump wins, I think he will pressure Bibi to make a deal with F-boy Joe so he doesn't have to deal with it coming into office. Interesting. Hey, Tam, what's up? Sabby, what do you think about Alan Lichtman's keys? He predicts a Kamala win. I know. And I kept saying that too. I was like, but Alan Lichtman said she's going to win. But I shouldn't just say Kamala's going to win because Alan Lichtman said Kamala's going to win. But I will say this. I think at this point, based on the numbers, in order for Kamala Harris to win, I think that she would have to have massive turnout on election day. That's what she would need because the numbers right now do not look like they're in her favor. Thank you. I know myself. MSN used whack polls, standard deviation too wide. Thank you. LKS or IKS. Sorry. Thank you for the super sticker. Thank you. Cool Blue. 2020, Biden carried California by plus 5.1 million and New York by plus 1.992 million. Nationally, plus 7 million, both states plus 7 million. They will likely dramatically shift away to help deliver Republican pickup of U.S. popular vote with the U.S. president. Yeah, I do see. I feel like from what I've been hearing and what I've been reading, it seems like Trump has been making gains in New York State and California. Thank you, Lawn Guy. In response to what Max said, liberal commentators getting lefty points being good on Gaza, except Ta-Nehisi Coates telling you they're laundering this to keep sheep herding. Thank you, Lawn Guy. And thank you for this one. Oh, sheep herding libs that all of a sudden pro-Palestinian, it's an act. That's a good point. Thanks, Cool Blue. Sabby home state. Massachusetts, the second best for 2020 Biden and Dems, carried by plus 33 points. It will perhaps lower much closer to plus 23, repeat pattern in many states. Look, there's been a lot of Trump signs here that I didn't see in 2016 and I did not see in 2020. I mean, there were always Trump supporters, but I see a lot of Trump signs now. Thank you, Joey Peltier, for being a member for 16 months. Land back for Turtle Island and Palestine. Free Leonard Peltier. That's right. Thank you, Cool Blue. Real Clear Politics on generic congressional vote switched over the weekend for Republicans. Since 2000, the party which won U.S. popular vote for U.S. House prevailed for U.S. president, including 2000 and 2016. Thanks, Courtney. I believe that California will shock everyone. I don't think that Cali will turn red, but I don't think Kamala will get the votes that's expected. Interesting. Thanks, Ineb. Sabby, I noticed that dip aligns with when her campaign did two things. One, the Cheney endorsement, and two, released her platform. Ooh, good point. Thank you, Cool Blue. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin states with longest streak voting for winners. Since 2008, with 4 in a row, they will again carry the winner here in 2024 path to the White House. I agree. Thank you, Ace Play. It's we're going to say Zionists that teach their children to kill. They're taught that everyone will be a slave to them. Zionists believe Edom and Esau needs eradication. And thank you for this one as well, Ace Play. Who is Edom and Esau? Modern day American and Europe. Thank you, Shalon. Catching up. My Muslim friends voting for Trump fear Stein won't win, and they feel like they can't continue this way. They know he's pro-Israel, but their families weren't dying in his administration. It may seem crazy, but they're desperate and grieving. Wow. Wow, Shalon. It's good to hear that, though, the explanation there, because I think a lot of people are just kind of like, what is happening? Thank you, Cool Blue. Uh-oh. I don't know what's happening. Oh, thank you. Sabby, this map is my prediction. 312 EVs. Oh, so we have the same one. All right, Cool Blue. So we're here then. Thank you, Savannah. Sabby, you have done the best election analysis throughout. I have really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Thank you and welcome. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.